Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Oh baby, we've got a leak. I gotta say, this makes me real excited. I think this might be the first significant leak of 2024. And boy, is it a good one. You know how everyone keeps going on and on about how behind the scenes, Democrats are panicked, blah blah blah. Top donors and strategists are meeting with the White House. It's a 5-alarm fire. You know, that's the general tone of the reports that we've been seeing lately. Then of course, Nancy Pelosi and her goons all go to the media and say, no, it's a bunch of fake news. Nobody's panicking. We're perfectly confident. In fact, everything's going according to plan. They try to counter the reporting and counter the rumors, but the reality is they are panicking. And honestly, we might have been understating it. The media might be underselling it. After this leak, I promise you, the Democrats are probably panicking like they haven't in nearly 2 decades. We have a Democrat internal poll, which just got leaked to the public. I'm just gonna say 3 words. Holy frickin' crap. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean by that. Wait till you guys get a look at these numbers. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so today's story comes from Puck.News. Take a look at the headline. Biden plunges in swing states in leaked post-debate poll. The president is losing critical support in key battlegrounds according to data from a premier Democratic firm, and putting previously non-competitive states in play. Also, for the first time, he's polling behind Kamala Harris. And it's this document right over here that has Nancy Pelosi blowing a fuse behind the scenes. In a multi-candidate ballot, Biden trails Trump by 7.3 percentage points in the Electoral College tipping point. Honestly, just look at the chart and you'll probably perceive exactly what's going on near instantaneously. We're going to focus on these 2 columns right over here. We've got pre-debate numbers and post-debate numbers with respect to every single battleground state. I don't even have to say it, do I? You guys probably notice it right away. Every single state is in play. They're all either within the general average margin of error, or Trump is just winning. I mean, if we're talking about battleground states, for the most part, the focus has been anywhere from 6 to 7 states. Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina. That's usually where the conversation revolves. But now everything's different. We've gone into the freaking stratosphere. Now we're talking North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Nebraska 2nd, Wisconsin, New Hampshire, Virginia, New Mexico, the state of Maine, Minneapolis, and even Colorado. They are all in play, and even more in play, frankly, up for grabs for Trump post-debate. Across the board, there's roughly an average of negative 2% drop in support for Joe Biden in every single row. This right here is the worst news that Democrats have gotten all year. Frankly, it might be the worst news Democrats have gotten since 2016, because what this is signaling is not just a Trump victory, but a Trump electoral landslide like hasn't been seen probably since the Reagan era. I mean, let's just do the quick math here. I'm gonna pause the recording for a second and I'm gonna fill up this map and make sure I get everything correct. But basically, every single state here that's in the red column, where Trump is supposedly winning, I'm gonna fill those out as red, and let's just see where the electoral vote count gets to. Alright, so here it is. If we just take the numbers on face value, this internal Democrat poll, which is the poll that Democrats are using themselves, this is Joe Biden's campaign poll. Well, these numbers are suggesting that Trump could win 338 electoral votes. And that's just if we translate it 1-to-1. If we see a total sweep and he ends up taking all of these states that are essential toss-ups within the margin of error, on the high end, Trump could get 358 electoral votes come November 2024. I mean, absolutely wild stuff. And of course, Democrats are trying to downplay this poll. Their suggestion is that we should just disregard the numbers. It's an unknown pollster and nobody should take it seriously. But I'm simply not buying that. Again, like I always say with these numbers that come out of these kinds of polls, this is a left-wing pollster. It's a Democrat internal. It's like Data for Progress, for instance. It's not a right-wing push poll. It's their frickin' poll. Even their numbers are suggesting a total collapse. And honestly, with these shocking polls, these days it's getting harder and harder to identify these kinds of polls as outliers. 3 months ago, if these numbers were released, you wouldn't believe them. But in the current environment, actually, the numbers track very well. We're seeing a huge shift in New Hampshire, for instance. Just take a look at this chart from the New Hampshire Institute of Politics. Let's go back to December 2023. Joe Biden was leading by 10 points. Well, the race has completely flipped, and now Trump has leapfrogged Joe Biden, and he's supposedly ahead by 2. If we compare that to the leaked results, the Democrat internal poll is showing Joe Biden losing by 2.8 in New Hampshire. And if we factor enthusiasm, I mean, for Pete's sakes, this is what New Hampshire was looking like back in the winter when Donald Trump held a rally there. And ironically enough, this is roughly around the time when I mean, Donald Trump is obviously bringing the crowds. It's quite possible that he ends up taking the state. But if we keep working our way through the list here, again, the numbers kind of track. The biggest polling shift that we've been talking about lately are Joe Biden's numbers in Virginia, for instance. Again, we've seen a complete collapse of support. The last 2 polls published are showing a dead even tie in the state. I think Donald Trump is getting 48 and Joe Biden's getting 48 as well. Well, if we analyze the numbers that we know of in Virginia with the numbers that just released from this leak poll, again, it's pretty similar. This poll is showing the race within a 1-point margin. Again, meaning these numbers really might be onto something here. From my view, all of these states are in play, but really, these states right over here, these are the places where Trump has a clear avenue. I'm not 100% willing to get too bullish on New Mexico and Minnesota and some of these other places where it seems as though there's a little bit of a lagging Trump surge, but if we go from Virginia and down, in my view, these are all avenues, and I'm calling them avenues because they're clear pathways to victory. Again, Trump doesn't even need all of these states. Of course, it'd be nice to win them all, but it's just not necessary. He only really needs to take a couple here, meaning he's in a position to kind of pick and choose. This is the menu. Now the question is, what's the appetizer, main course, and dessert? And the beautiful part on top of it, there might even be compliments from the chef. I'm sure the Trump campaign is mostly focused on the Rust Belt. I guess that's where they're going to be focused. It's looking like Trump might win the Rust Belt, and then some, the compliments of the chef, little cherries on top. Take a little New Hampshire, take a little Virginia. You want New Mexico? It's on the house. And look, I know you're probably hesitant, and to a certain extent I am as well. Like I said earlier, I would have never said this 6 months ago, but it's a completely different game now. Things are obviously changing. It seems almost as if the silent Trump voter is finally showing his or her face. And come to think of it, back then, there were signs.
We asked folks coming into the polls, do you identify as a Republican? Do you identify as a Democrat, or do you identify as an independent? And here's what we found in this exit poll so far, and I think this jumps right out at you. A minority of voters in this first wave of the exit poll in the Republican primary identify as Republicans. A majority, 53%, identify as either independents, 45%, or, and this is a high number historically, 8% identify as Democrats. For some context here, in 2016, the last competitive Republican presidential primary in New Hampshire, the electorate was 55% Republican. It was 42% independent, and it was 3% Democratic. So in this initial wave, you're seeing some significant differences from 2016.
Exit polling from primary voters showed a good chunk of non-Republicans supporting Donald Trump. Well, that trend might be picking up here, as every normally lean Democrat state is now essentially in the toss-up column. And that right there is big, big news. But that's also what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.